Hi friends, hope you are all doing well. Can you believe we're halfway through our session already? I wanted to make a little video to go over the curriculum unit project because when you first look at it, might be a bit intimidating, but we're going to go over it together and we're going to take it piece by piece and it'll come together no problem. So you'll see here on the home page for the assignment, I put that you can work as a group for this. I don't require it because I know online students are fairly independent and sometimes it's easier to just do the work on your own pace. But if you want to use the chat area to find someone who shares a similar interest with you, you can do this as a group if you would like. So once you open up the assignment sheet, we'll go over it together. First thing you're going to do is choose your topic. Page 297 of your book has a list by age of all the topics related to health, safety, nutrition. So that's your first step, is to choose your topic, something that you are interested in and passionate about. At the top of your paper, clearly tell me the topic and the age group. So for example, school-age children and stranger danger. So the first chunk here is a brainstorming list. Just like you would do a web or a brainstorming chart, I want you to think about at least 6 to 8 classroom-based experiences that relate to your topic. Be as specific as you can. Titles of books, names of songs, guest speakers, field trips, learning experiences, or like lesson plans that you could do in the classroom with the children. So just brainstorm out as many as you can think of that relate to your topic. This is where working with a partner or a group comes in handy, because once you start talking it out and brainstorming, you'll get a list of 6 to 8, piece of cake. Second part is, from this list, you're going to choose 3 ideas to flesh out into a learning experience. So it does need to follow this format on the assignment sheet. And I really want you to think deeply about the intent of the experience. I want it to be meaningful, developmentally appropriate, and related to your topic. For those of you that have already taken 111 and 112, remember those things that you talked about in class. It needs to be related to the children's interests, something that would appeal to them, a really intentful learning experience. So you're going to follow this format, just the title of the experience, your age group. The length of the experience really depends on the type of experience it is. It could be just a 10, 15-minute like circle time activity, or it could be an in-depth project that takes weeks. All right, for your objectives and your purpose, it's almost like you need to write the learning experience first and then go back and match it to your skills or competencies. But your learning objectives are, what are the children going to gain from doing this activity? And again, these skills and competencies should be observable and measurable. Try to avoid the word learn, because learning isn't observable, right? I can say all of you are going to learn how to write a lesson plan, but how would I document that? I can say students will document their learning experience in written format. That's something that's observable and measurable. I can check it off that everybody submitted a written learning experience. Your California Preschool Foundations and your DRDP measures are going to be invaluable. And in fact, I'm going to require that you use at least 2 foundations and 2 DRDP measures. So let's just take a look at the DRDP measures. So you can get a feel for what they look like. You hopefully have used these in 111 and 112, even 139 if you've taken that already. So the DRDPs are desired results, developmental profile for preschool age children. They do have this in infant toddler, and they have a school age version. So depending on the age group that you are going to target, you need to pull up the correct DRDP booklet. So if you just scroll down, you will see, scroll too far. Computer's being very slow today. The list of measures here on page 15. So they're organized by domain. And you can see there's a lot of them. So it just depends on your learning experience how you're going to relate it back to the DRDPs and the foundations. But say you're going to do a storytelling or a role play on what to do if you see a stranger in your environment. Anytime the children are communicating and using language, there you go, your language and literacy development DRDP measures. So think about your learning experience and then reflect back on what the children are gaining from doing that experience. You just need 2 DRDP measures and 2 learning foundations, which once you read it over, it will all click. Once you do your learning experience, you'll be able to tie it back to objectives and learning purposes. Piece of cake. You're going to list out all the materials that you need to complete that learning experience. Again, a prepared teacher has everything available, so you're not running around trying to collect materials while the children wait, because that's just a recipe for disaster. Any prep work, what do you need to do beforehand? Do you need a list of allergies? Do you need to get parent permission slips? You need to arrange for that guest speaker to come in. Anything that you as the teacher need to do ahead of time. The description of the experience, again, should be a meaty paragraph. You really want to make it meaningful. Don't just pull an idea off the internet and present it as your learning experience. Think reflectively about how are you going to introduce this topic to the children, what exactly is the experience, and then how are you going to transition or conclude it and move the children on to the next activity. Lastly is your extensions or your variations. What are other variations of this experience? And this is where that brainstormed list is going to come in handy that you did for part number 1. A variation or an extension could be once you read a book to the children about stranger danger, then they're going to move into a role play. Or once you do the role play activity, they're going to go home and talk to their parents about what they learned at school and maybe do a drawing about what they would do if they saw a stranger in their environment. So it's related to the description, but it's different. It allows the children to experience that idea in a different way or a different format. So you need at least 3 variations or extensions here. Again, different songs, different books, different ways for the children to think about that idea in a different way. So you're going to have 3 detailed learning experiences written out in the lesson plan format. Part 3 is going to be your resource list. You need at least 1 of each, but you need to have 5 resources total. So books for children, books for adults to explore that idea deeply, a website that relates to your topic, and a community agency. So 1 of each, and you need to throw in an extra one somewhere so that you have 5 total for your resource list. So that's the written portion. Your brainstormed list, your 3 written out learning experiences, and your resource list. Now, the next part is going to be your presentation. The presentation is where you choose 1 of your learning experiences to show us what it looks like. So you'll choose any one of your experiences and you're going to put it together into a PowerPoint, a Prezi. A lot of you are really good at the videos. You can do an iMovie or I'm using Screencast-O-Matic. You can create a little video to show us your learning experience. So the most important thing is that if you take photographs of children doing your experience, you must get photo permission. This is for your protection and for the college. Even if you do your own child, a friend, a family member, you must get either the supervisor of the program, the preschool, to sign off, or if you're doing an individual child, you must get the parent to sign off. And this includes you. If you're doing your own child, sign this and date it so that we all know that you have given us permission to view photographs of your child. And I've written out here exactly how to set up the PowerPoint. You need to tell us your topic, the title of the experience, the age group that it targets, and the length of the experience on slide number 2. Slide number 3 are your objectives and your purpose. Don't forget you have to include the DRDP measures and the foundations here under objectives. Any materials needed and prep work. Slides 5, 6, and 7 are your experience. So slide 5 should be how are you going to introduce it to the children. You might think of a provocation or a provoking question to get them interested in the topic. Slide number 6 is how you would actually conduct the experience. And slide number 7 is how you're going to wrap it up or transition it to the next experience, or how you would conclude it in a nice way. Slide number 8, you're going to list your 3 extensions and variations, and slide number 9 are your related resources. So if you don't have access to children, you can just set up the experience like you guys did in 112. You set up the experience for your colleagues in class. I do one when I teach 161 on campus. I set this up for the students because I know a lot of students drink sodas and energy drinks like Red Bulls and a lot of coffee. So we do an experience in class with flavored water. So I have a beautiful children's book from the National Geographic that talks about the importance of water and how our bodies need water. Then I set up my provocation, which is what flavors do you taste? Let me blow this up a little bit so you guys can see it better. So my provocation is what flavors do you taste? And I give the instructions on a large piece of paper on the table. And I have a variety of different herbs like thyme and mint. I have oranges, lemons, different things to add to water to make it a little bit more flavorful. So this is a way that you could, if you don't have access to children, if you're not working in a preschool or a daycare center, you can just set up a table with your experience and show us exactly what it's going to look like. Again, it needs to be beautiful and engaging for the children, nicely organized, all the materials that you would need. So that's just one example of what a presentation might look like. Just show us what you would do with the children and explain it in your PowerPoint or your Prezi. So that is it. That's going to take us the last 3 weeks of our time together as your curriculum unit. So as always, please reach out if you have any questions or concerns. We chunk this assignment. We do it in pieces so I can give you feedback along the way so that when it's due, you're not feeling overwhelmed. You already know, you're on target, you've gotten your feedback, and you're good to go. So please reach out if you have any questions. Take care. Bye.